Hey friend, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alex and I'm so happy you're here. So in today's video, I am going to be ranking all of the bronzers that I own from worst to best. So I love bronzer. Bronzer is just one of those things that I don't think I've ever skipped. Like, I'm pretty sure the first thing of makeup I ever owned was bronzer. I'm a lot more fair than most of my family, so I vividly remember being in middle school and my mom giving me bronzer to be like, Alex, you need to like look a little more tan. So I just love bronzer. I feel like even if I only do one thing of makeup, it's likely gonna be bronzer because it just gives your face like a healthy look, and I love bronzer. Before we get started though, if you're interested to see kind of what products I use to create this look, I did post a picture on my Instagram. I want to say this is going up on Wednesday, so on Sunday when I'm filming this, I posted this picture with a flat lay of the products I use. I'm really feeling like it's like a very like intergalactic vibe, and I'm very here for it. But anyway, if you're excited to hear all about my bronzers, just keep on watching. Okay, it was really hard to rank all my bronzers, but here we are, okay? Don't get offended if these are your favorites, but this is just how I feel. So my least favorite bronzer that I own is my Milk Makeup, what's it called, like bronzer stick. It's in the shade Baked. Thank God I bought a mini because I really don't like this. So let me swatch it. I'm gonna swatch all of these for you here. So I just feel like the undertone isn't quite right, and it's just really hard to blend, and I found that it kind of picks up my foundation. Like when I've tried drawing it on and then blending it out with a brush. I've tried putting it directly on a brush and then putting it on my face, and no matter what I do, I feel like it picks up my foundation and it drives me crazy. So I don't know, there's just something about it that just does not work for me, which is fine. Like, I'm not supposed to like every single bronzer in the world, but yeah, this one I just think the formula is a little too stiff. Now that I'm into more liquid and cream products though, I wonder if a more liquidy bronzer would work, but this one's just a tad too stiff and it makes it, to me, hard to blend, and again, I don't love the tone. Okay, up next is my e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer. So I like it. I think it's okay, but I have a few qualms with it. I think the tone is really pretty. It might be really similar to another bronzer that I'm about to show you. It's a very matte bronzer, which I like matte bronzers. Like, I wear them sometimes. I like both matte and luminous bronzers, but this one happens to be matte. The thing with this one is that it's really powdery. So you have to go in with a really light hand. Otherwise, it's like boom, streak. And I hate that. Like, I like to be able to build up my bronzer, and you'll notice a theme here towards my favorite bronzers is that they take a while to build up. And I just find that my makeup looks a lot more natural when I use a bronzer that, you know, it takes a little bit to build up because you're able to get the dimension that you want versus just like, well, there's all the product. So let me see. I took it on my finger here, and let me swatch it kind of next to that Baked bronzer, and as you can see, oh my god, this transferred, but anyway, it's right here, and as you can see, it's lighter than this one, but this one also blends out, you know, so it doesn't look that stark on my skin, but it is a nice tone. It's not too orangey. I do like that about it, but it being so powdery is just kind of a deal breaker for me. Up next, and I don't know if this is cheating, but it's a bronzer that I have in a face palette. So it's this Physicians Formula Butter Glow Face Palette. I will say this, I love this palette for travel just because you've got your bronzer, highlight, and blush all in one, and I actually like all three of them. But here's why I guess the bronzer rated a little low in my collection, and it's a similar complaint I have to this e.l.f. one, and it is that it just picks up too much product. Like, you really need to just like do a teensy little bit, and you gotta make sure you're blending quickly because it just gets too much product on there. And I don't know, I've had two different butter bronzers. I shattered both of them tragically. My first one I really liked because it felt a little stiffer, but the second one was super powdery. And this one is, again, very powdery. So let me swatch it. It's almost like creamy in a way. And it definitely is a little bit more luminous. So here I was like totally off frame. So it definitely has a little bit more sparkle than this one, but again, the tone is nice. So it's a nice luminous bronzer, but again, a little hard to work with, and I just don't love that. Up next is my Hoola Bronzer, which is kind of crazy because this bronzer is really expensive and I've actually owned it for like ever. I've used it quite a bit, it's well loved. And I like this bronzer in the summer when I'm tan. In the winter when I'm at my fairest, this bronzer just doesn't really work for me. It's just a little too dark and it just looks a little too artificial for me. It's a very matte bronzer. Again, it picks up quite a bit in the pan. So when you go in here, let me like swirl my finger here. See how it's a lot darker than my others, which is fine. Again, in the summer when I'm really tan, but otherwise I don't tend to reach for it in the winter. And I have found that again, a lot gets on the brush. So it's kind of hard to have like a really nice even application to build dimension. Okay, up next is a bronzer that I actually really enjoy, and it's in the Z palette. So about a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was traveling a lot for work. And when I say a lot, I mean, I was gone at least 1 week out of the month on like big trips, like international trips. The closest trip I ever would go on is New York, and that's a 6-hour flight. So I was traveling a lot. And I was constantly packing my bag. And even though I did international travel, I always packed a carry-on because I was always kind of in a rush and only going for a few days at a time. So I kind of perfected the packing a carry-on bag for work international trips. And part of that was perfecting my makeup game. So I got this Z palette and I essentially took a lot of my favorite products and put them in here because this is so easy to pack. It just slides right in anywhere and it's super easy. So the bronzer that I put in the Z palette is this one, and it's actually from the Sephora line. It is their Los Cabos shade. And I actually love this bronzer. It's a really good bronzer. It takes a while to build up. It has just the right amount of like shimmer luminosity, but it's more matte than not, but it has a little bit of a, like a sheen. And I really like it. Here, let me swatch it for you guys. So I got quite a bit on my finger there. And it's just a really beautiful shade. And again, it takes time to build up, which I appreciate about it. And I really like it. And I actually had this exact same shade in the past, and I actually am pretty sure either finished it or like I had definitely hit pan, but maybe it shattered. I don't know. This was many moons ago. This is definitely the second one. And I feel like the Sephora makeup line gets a lot of crap for like not being great, but I enjoy a lot of my Sephora brand products. I used to be really into them in college, I feel like, because I wasn't really as into Ulta at the time. So I'd go into Sephora and look for like the cheapest product because I was a broke college student. So I ended up picking up quite a bit of like the Sephora line. And this bronzer, I think, is probably their best product that I've tried. Okay, number 3, and this is a little preemptive. This is a bronze award, okay? We're handing out bronze medals right now. I would say is my new Milani Baked Bronzer. So I just got this with a collab I did with Sarah. She recommended this product to me, but I love it. It makes me feel like an absolute Sunkissed Cali girl. It is probably my most luminous bronzer that I own, which I love. And it just has like the most beautiful, like, golden-y shade. Can you see that? It is so good. Like, look at that. It's warm, but it's not orange. And it just gives me the most, as I said, like Cali girl, sun-kissed vibes of my dreams. I can see myself not wearing this a lot in the winter because again, it's definitely like pulls pretty warm. So I love it for when I'm tan. But I love it. I feel like you kind of have to build it up, which as I said is something that I look for in bronzer and I like, but it's luminous and gorgeous and so good. Okay, my silver medal goes to another Milani bronzer, and this is the Silky Matte Bronzer. So this is my favorite matte bronzer of all time. It is a fairly cool tone bronzer. So let me again swatch it here next to the rest. It's definitely my coolest tone bronzer, which I like because it kind of serves, it's this one right here at the end. it serves kind of as a contour shade as well as a bronzer all in one, which I really like. You can go in and lightly contour and then kind of tan up the rest of your face, really. And I really like that. It's especially a beautiful winter shade for me for when I'm like fairly fair. I kind of like going with the more neutral, coolish tones. I don't know. I just feel like it looks nicer on when I'm like feeling kind of pasty, you know? But yeah, it's a beautiful formula. This honestly feels so high-end. Like the packaging is really nice and sturdy. I love the design. It's kind of like this little kind of star situation. And yeah, I just love this. This is in the shade 2, Sunkissed. They have multiple shades. This is the only one I've tried, and it's the one that I really, really love. But yeah, this is such a good one. Okay, and the gold award in Alex's bronzer games is my Hourglass Bronzer. So this is the Diffused Bronze Light Ambient Lightning Bronzer. It's what I'm wearing today, and it's just beautiful year-round on me. I love it in the winter. I love it in the summer. It is my go-to bronzer. I hit pan on it. It's kind of like a weird pan because it's one of these baked formulas. It's a mini. I bought it in a mini not knowing if I would love it, and I absolutely love it. And when I finish this, which I know I will, I'm going to buy the full size because I'm obsessed with this. Like, it is just, it's luminous. It takes quite a bit to build up, I would say, but it's super, super luminous. Here, let me show you guys. Do you see that at the very end here? It is very luminous. It is kind of cool tone. It has a teensy bit of like a pinky, which makes it look like a more realistic sun kind of situation. And I don't know, every time I wear it, I just love it. It is my absolute favorite bronzer. I know it's really expensive. I can't believe I really splurged on it. But at the same time, I'm really happy I did because I found a favorite. I want to say the mini is $24. It's lasted me a long time. I've had it over a year and I use it a lot. So again, with these really high-end expensive products, sometimes investing in a mini, I mean, hi, I have the Milk in a mini. This one in a mini is the way to go. So yeah, that is kind of like my bronzer roundup. These are all the bronzers that I currently own. I've like declared some in the past, finished some in the past, but these are the ones currently in my collection. And I'm actually really happy with where I'm at because I've got some good cool tone ones. I've got some really nice luminous bronzy ones and kind of everything in between. Like I feel like I have I'm really happy, I guess, with where my bronzer situation is at, and considering that it's an essential step in my makeup routine, I'm really feeling good about what I own. However, I will solicit suggestions for bronzers that I do not own that you think I would love. Definitely let me know in the comments. I love bronzer, as I said. So this is something that I do like to pick up different ones to see if they're my new favorite. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, hi, I am so happy you're here. Please consider subscribing to this channel if this is the kind of content that you'd like to see, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, friend.